Once there were two shoemakers. One made boots, and the other made shoes. They were so poor, they barely had anything to eat. One day, the bootmaker said to the shoemaker, "Friend, if honesty isn't getting us food, let's find another way to earn money." They thought hard, and came up with a clever plan. The plan was that the shoemaker would take the judge's 6 fine horses into the forest and tie them to a tree. Then the bootmaker would pretend to read from an old book, acting like it told him exactly where the horses were, but all of this would be done in exchange for money. They did exactly that. The horses disappeared, and everyone started searching for them, but no one could find a clue. That's when the bootmaker went to the judge and said, "Sir, if I give you a lead, what will you give me?" The judge replied, "If the clue helps, I'll give you 300 coins." The bootmaker picked up the old book and started reading loudly. "On a snowy hill, deep in the forest, tied to a beech tree, are all 6 horses. The villagers rushed there, and the horses were actually found at that very spot." The judge was so pleased, he gave the bootmaker 300 coins. Now the bootmaker became famous. People said he had a magical book that could find anything. The news even reached the king, just in time, because the queen had lost her favorite ring and was so upset she fell ill. The king immediately sent his golden royal carriage with 6 shining horses and ordered his guards to bring the bootmaker safely to the palace. The bootmaker, whose name was Mr. Cricket, got very nervous. He feared his trick might be caught. When he arrived at the palace, the king welcomed him and said, "If you find the queen's ring, I'll give you 6 carts filled with gold." Mr. Cricket said, "I'll try my best, your majesty, but I can't promise anything." He asked the king for 3 days alone in a room to think. The king agreed and gave him a grand room with so much food that Mr. Cricket didn't know where to begin. The first day passed, then the second. By the third day, he started to panic, thinking the end was near, so he decided to count how many dishes came with his last meal. A servant brought the first dish, and Mr. Cricket said, "Here comes the first." The servant got scared and ran to the kitchen yelling, "We're doomed! The magician knows we stole the ring." Actually, it was true. The servant, the cook, and the cook's helper had stolen the queen's ring and hidden it. Next, the cook took a dish to Mr. Cricket. As soon as he entered, Mr. Cricket said, "And here's the second." The cook dropped the plate and ran. Then the cook's helper brought the third dish. Mr. Cricket said, "There's the third one." That was enough. The helper fell to his knees and admitted the theft. All 3 begged Mr. Cricket not to tell the king, and each promised to give him 300 coins. Mr. Cricket thought, 6 carts of gold plus this? Not bad. He took the ring, hid it inside a piece of white bread, and threw it out the window, just as the king's chickens were walking by. One chicken ate the bread, and the ring ended up in its belly. Mr. Cricket then happily went to the king and said, "I found the ring. It's inside one of the chickens. Cut it open, and you'll see." The chicken was killed, its belly opened, and the ring was really inside. The queen stopped crying and smiled brightly. The king kept his promise. He filled 6 carts with gold and sent Mr. Cricket back in the royal carriage with guards to protect him along the way, and that's where the story ends.